Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get Well, Live Strong. I'm very glad that you're here today because I'm going to talk to you about something that I've had to deal with in my own life, and I've been able to overcome it, and I'm sure that that's probably affecting your life in some way, and that is fatigue. I'm going to talk to you today about overcoming fatigue because, quite frankly, I think that it's time to put energy back in our lives, don't you? Well, I got to say that, fatigue in the year 2026 is one of the most prevalent complaints that folks, particularly folks our age, have. And, we've been led to believe that it is that we have fatigue because of our age. And so we accept it as just part of our lives. And I did too for quite some time. But then I came to the place that I realized that that's not true. Before I stopped running, I could not run a mile as fast as I could when I was 29, obviously. That's a sign of aging. My hair is not auburn red anymore. It's white. That's a sign of aging. The wrinkles on my face, they're a sign of aging. I can't do things as fast as I could when I was much younger. That's a sign of aging or wisdom. Maybe we don't need to do it that fast, right? But what's not necessarily a sign of aging, but we've been led to believe it is fatigue. And I want to tell you, I retired in 2022 for the last time. And I started a farm. And I grew my own food. And all of a sudden, I started feeling more and more fatigued. But in all honesty, I was working a lot harder than I had for a long, long time because I was building a farm from scratch with these hands. So it only stands to reason that I was fatigued, right? And from my house down to the farm, there's a little bit of a decline, not much. I mean, if you weren't really looking, probably wouldn't even notice it, just a little bit of a decline. And I'd go out and I'd work in the garden for several hours, and then I'd start that uphill climb, if you want to even call it that. And I could not even put one foot in front of the other. And I'd go in for lunch, and man, I would lay back in my recliner chair, and I wouldn't be able to move. I mean, I just was so tired. Well, I discovered in my own life that the fatigue was not because I was building a farm. The fatigue was not because I was lifting concrete blocks. It wasn't because I was doing woodwork. It wasn't because I was hauling rich soil and putting them in my raised beds. That had maybe this much to do with it. But that wasn't what was the cause. And so I began searching. And I came up with 4 things that were robbing me of my energy. And I worked on and fixed those 4 things in my own life. And when I did, it completely changed everything. Now, at the age of 69, I am doing more than I've ever done. I have more energy than I've had in a long, long time. And I believe that that's the case for you too, because it's not because of genetics. It's not because I'm taking these miracle supplements. It's because I made a few lifestyle changes that has made all the difference in the world. Okay? Now, one of the things that was robbing me, the first thing actually, that was robbing me of my energy was my food. Or, I guess more specifically, the lack of nutrition for that was contained in the foods that I was consuming. And so that was kind of an easy fix. I just changed my diet. And I've shown you videos about my new lifestyle. And from previous videos that before I retired, until this year, I ate a whole food plant-based diet. Well, late last year, I ate a whole food plant-based diet. And, it was really great in the beginning, but then I wound up depleting all the stored nutrients that I had in my body, whatever I did have. And I wound up in the emergency room because I thought I was having a heart attack. Turned out that I was, my potassium stores had depleted. And that led me to change my diet because I couldn't go on that way. And, I began eating a very high meat protein diet, very, very low carbohydrate diet, and normal fat, full fat. And it has completely changed the way that my body is functioning. It's giving my body the energy, the nutrition that it needs to accomplish what I want it to accomplish in a day's time. And that completely revolutionized my energy level. And so if it was because I was aging, then why do I have more energy now? I'm not giving myself energy shots. I'm not taking supplements, nothing. I just changed my nutrition. So the second thing that I uncovered that was robbing me of my energy was my sleep. And I have to tell you, all of my adult life, I've had trouble sleeping. And at first I thought that I just didn't need it. I was one of those people that I just didn't need much sleep. What I didn't know was that I did need the sleep just as much as anybody, but not getting the sleep, I was actually destroying my body and its energy supply one night at a time. So I made some changes. And, our world has changed since I began having sleep issues. Now we have blue lights, different things like that. Our phones that I'm recording this video on, we have televisions with blue lights on. We even have alarm clocks with blue lights on them. It's just terrible. Well, what I did, I made a change because I heard from a very reliable source in the medical profession that blue lights really do contribute to you not being able to fall asleep and stay asleep. So I made these changes. Now, I make sure, number one, going back to diet, I make sure that I put the last morsel of food in my mouth for the day no later than 7 p.m. Then, after dinner, the phone goes off, the television goes off, the computer goes off, the iPad goes off, and I don't do any of that. Maybe I'll go visit my neighbors. Maybe I'll walk my dog. Maybe I'll sit and read a book. Maybe I'll just walk over the farm and just pray and watch the sunset. But I don't put that stimulating stuff into my brain that late at night. And I have to tell you, it has really worked wonders. And also, too, I take 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate every night. I used to take it about an hour before bedtime. I've changed that. Now I take it with my evening meal. So I usually have about 3 hours before I go to bed, 2.5, 3 hours before I go to bed. And it just helps me go to sleep right away. My body just naturally calms down because for 3 hours it hasn't had that stimulus. And then I fall right asleep and I stay asleep. And now I can consistently sleep 6 hours, 7 hours with no problem. And so that has really increased my energy level because I don't wake up tired. I wake up rested and energized. And it is really just an amazing thing. And so that's the other thing that I did. And as far as sleep goes, one of the changes that I made was I actually put, I have my bedroom very dark, and I also have it very cool. Those two things together really increases my ability to sleep. And it should you too, because we need the dark. The dark is what tells our brain, okay, it's time to go to sleep. But a lot of times we don't do that. We have ambient lighting. We have sleeping with the television on. We should not do that. We should never do that. And I know some people say, oh, I can't sleep without the television on. Well, when I was out on the road, I slept with the television on every night. And I would put the same DVD in the DVD player and put it on repeat and just play that DVD all night long. And I would never play that DVD any other time. And it would tell my brain it's time to go to sleep. And it did work most of the time, but it was not optimum. It absolutely was not optimum. What it was, I believe, was the next best thing, but it was not optimum. And so if you can, you really should get into the habit of not having the TV on when you're trying to sleep, because it's counterproductive to the way God created your body to rest and sleep. Okay, so the third thing is that I realized was that my exercise was not right. And so now I walk daily, and I particularly walk right after meals if I possibly can. Right after meals, I get up from the table, or in my case, I really don't sit at a table. A true confession. I sit in my recliner chair and I eat. Okay. Usually I'm watching an educational video or something like that, killing two birds with one stone. But that's kind of my routine. But I'll get up, before I even wash the dishes, I'll take them to the counter and I'll head right out the door. And my dog knows that as soon as I put that last morsel of food in my mouth, he heads right for the door because he knows we're going out and we're going for a walk. And it really does help. And the other thing that I've done is I started going to the gym, rain or shine, without fail, at least 3 times a week, and do strength training to help fix my body, to help strengthen my body, but also that expenditure of energy causes me to be able to be tired enough in the evening to just naturally wind down and fall asleep. And then the fourth thing that I realized, that my stress level was high, way too high. Part of that was caused by insulin resistance. I have videos on that. I'm not going to repeat that now, but just go back and watch one of my other videos on insulin resistance. But it's amazing when you have insulin resistance, and I will just say this, that 88% of American adults have insulin resistance, and half of them, they say, don't even know they have it. So it is possible that you do have it. But insulin resistance puts a tremendous amount of stress on the body that you don't even know that you have. Okay, that's one thing. But then you know what? I got used to, I'm a very caring person. When someone is going through something, I feel it sometimes with them and sometimes for them. I've had to retrain myself about that. And there's a lot of things going on in our world today. There's a lot of things going on in our government. There's a lot of things going on in our country. There's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of unrest. And if I listen to a lot of that, if I watch a lot of that, it really has a negative impact on me. And here's the bottom line. There are only a couple of things that I can do about any of that. Truly. One of those things is that if it's the government in that election year, I can do my civic duty and I can go vote. I have one vote. I'm one woman with one vote. But I can do that. And I do that. But the other thing is that I can pray. And I can let God handle the government, the state of the nation, the state of the world, all of those things. I personally can't fix it. And if I can't fix it, then if I'm caring about it, in other words, I'm worrying about it, the Bible tells us about that. and that we're to cast our cares upon Him because He cares for us, and that we are to give Him our yoke and take His yoke upon us because His burden is easy. And so that's what I need to do. I can't worry about those things. I can't be concerned about those things every moment of every day. As I become concerned about them, I now have made it a point that I pray about those things, I intercede about those things, I give those things to the Lord, and then I keep them in His hands and I walk away. And some days that's easier to do than others, and I know that. But one thing that I do have control over, I don't watch the news. You know, just like earlier in the week, I was telling you about, we had a prisoner escape from our county jail. Immediately, I got a notification on my phone. I didn't have to watch the news. I didn't have to go on the YouTube or the Facebook local channels to hear all the stuff that was going on that's bad in my community. I didn't have to hear all that. The police department notified me when there was imminent danger. And so if something like that doesn't happen, then I shouldn't be carrying the weight and the burden of that and worrying about it. I need to pray about it and leave it in God's very capable hands. And so those are the changes that I've made. Okay? So how does that play out in my everyday life? Well, when I get up in the morning, I have my coffee time, I have my prayer time. I'm out here early in the morning enjoying the sunrise. I'm full of energy. I am thinking about what I'm going to be recording for you and what information I'm going to give you. I do that. I edit. I do all those things. I go to the gym. I walk my dog. And then somewhere after lunch, mid to late afternoon, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, I start feeling like my energy is beginning to decrease a little bit. Do you know what that is? Normal. My body is finally normal now, and that's what God wants us to do, our bodies to do. He designed our bodies to do that. After the day, as the day wears on and we start getting to those places, then, you know, our bodies just starts decreasing in energy. Our body systems start slowing down, and then when it's bedtime, we sleep. That's the way God designed us to be. So I figured out those 4 things that I really needed to fix in my own life, in my own body. I fixed all 4 of those things that I had total control over, and it has been almost miraculous. The way that it is miraculous, though, is that this is how God created our bodies, just so fearfully and wonderfully made, miraculously. And I was able to change those 4 things, and it has completely changed my life. And so I bring those to you today because don't you think it's about time that we end our fatigue? And don't you think it's about time that we stop believing the myth that our fatigue is caused by our age? Because it's simply not true. We get slower, we get more gray hairs, we get more wrinkles, but we don't have to get fatigued. And I think it's time that we take our energy back. So I'm leaving you this week with that commission. Take your energy back. Today's the day. Make these changes in your life, and I promise you, you're going to feel a difference. Give it a month. Would you do that? 30 days to energy again. Wouldn't that be great? Well, it can happen. You're looking right here at someone that it happened to. And I'm nobody special. It's not genetics. I'm not one of those people that say, I have so much energy. Nope, I'm a normal person. You're a normal person. And if you do these changes, put these changes in your life, I promise you that you're going to feel a difference. 30 days from now, things are going to be different. You're going to see improvement. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you take this to heart. I hope you start getting your energy back because you know what? The older we get, the more energy we need, right? So I'm hoping that you're going to take this to heart and you will take back the energy that your life has stolen from you. You deserve it. I appreciate you. I appreciate you staying to the end. And I hope that you will get well, live strong. Until next time, God bless. Take care. Have energy.